Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
To send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode. This week we're back with one of my favorite personalities. Love him or hate him, he's a big personality, super lovable guy, very polarizing guy. I was just telling him off air, when this guy's in bull mode, he very much occupies top 5 favorite personalities for me in all of Praetoria. Very happy to welcome you back to the show, AZ. As always, wonderful to see you. Welcome back, man.
Happy to be here. So what's going on, Jimmy?
Oh, just raging, just sitting here being stoked on everything for the most part, which is a very nice. We've had the gradual turn over the past several months.
All right, cool. And BJ, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, unless you've been living under a rock, there's a little thing coming called the Conclave Arcana, and for anybody who likes engaging podcasts, I've got a challenge for you. We were doing some little verbal exercises to get the vocal cords and the mouth warmed up beforehand, and AZ set the record for saying Arcana, Arcane, Archon 5 times fast. You got a little demonstration for us, AZ?
Arcana, Arcane, Archon, but cannot do 5 times fast. That's as best as I can do.
Yeah, man, I think Conclave Arcana, that's the buzz right now, and justifiably so. I think, reflecting back on the last couple of months, we've had a couple of, it's been very gradual, and then all of a sudden, and here we are, we're on the cusp of this thing going live. We just had the town hall kind of celebrating or preemptive celebrating the launch of this thing. Jimmy and I have been thoroughly involved in the internal testing, which has been a lot of fun. Shout out to the team for making that happen. And, we've had a couple of meetings with some of the guys on the team offering some feedback, and we've seen some changes, and our stuff has been heard and validated. And yeah, it's just been an awesome process to be a part of. And, my excitement, I think, is I'm trying to be impartial to the fact that I have the inside track on what this set actually means for the next phase of Splinterlands, and when you zoom out and look from a bird's eye view, I think there's a lot to be excited about, man. So why don't we start with you, AZ? You not being an internal tester, so therefore you haven't seen, the same degree of depth in terms of what's coming. You've got hints and you've got speculation, and there's a lot of stuff in the post, and it was discussed on the town hall. Can you put your finger on maybe your top 1 or 2 things that have you feeling excited or apprehensive, or tell us what you're thinking and what's the primary trigger for feelings that way?
Okay, so I'll make it quite plain. So we are not going to talk about playtesting because I do not know anything about playtesting. You have, and we are not going to ask you about playtesting on purpose, because you cannot tell until it is released. So let's just make it pretty simple on that. I know you are itching to tell us more about it, but let's keep it under wraps, just like we do. So I have only seen what is published. And by published, I mean I've listened to the town hall and I have read the long Conclave Arcana post a few times. So that is what I'm going to consider the official information. It's a long post. I know the 2 promo cards. They look good. I'm going to keep the hype a little check, okay? Because that's what I do. And there are a lot of people hyping, and I am more focused on the the economics of it as opposed to the hype, because we have done the hype before, and we have memories of it. I have memories of it quite fresh of the hype. So hype is one thing we're not going to do, at least on this episode. So, but with that, I am going to say that I am cautiously optimistic. And my reason is quite simple. DEC, last I checked just before the show, is trading at 009, so like 900 splintoshis, as we like to call it. And we are awfully close to the peg, which is a great spot to be in as you start launching a new set. So yeah, that's good. You are opening up Splinter cards for those who cannot see the screen, and looks like it's 932 right now in Splinter cards. So that's a good spot to be in. SPS is also rallying for the last 3 days, and so again, if you want to launch a new set, this is a good spot to be in. And I like that, and I can explain more about it. But I'm going to pause and I'll let you speak.
The thing that I find most interesting is I was talking with a couple of the guys on the test server this morning, namely Rogue and Mondroid, and we were looking at the economics, right? So if you break down the Conclave Arcana presale, I think it equates to, and AZ, correct me on my math if I'm mistaken, but 4.4 billion DEC is on the table to sell out Conclave Arcana. So that includes, I believe, 500,000 standard packs and some combination of alchemist packs and legendary packs, all said and done, equating to 4.4 billion. Well, when you look at total liquidity that's available out there, the players have just shy of 1.4 billion. On land is just over 1.4 billion, and then the DAO has just over 2 billion. Obviously, the DAO's DEC should not be factored in the equation in terms of liquid
forget about
DEC.
DAO.
So we're sitting right around that half midway point, maybe 60% of that 4.4 billion. And to your point, with DEC flirting with PEG, we haven't been this close for this long to PEG since, I want to say, Rebellion launch. So 18 months, give or take.
Yes.
So I smell something burning. I smell something burning.
That's exactly what I'm alluding to. Jimmy, tell us how much SPS are you in staking to toss onto the bonfire, dude?
Me or as
Yeah, you, Jimmy.
No, you first.
You, Jimmy.
You first, Jimmy.
I have no idea. I actually, because I've been spent so long not looking at prices, it wasn't until I was talking to you earlier today, Jangles, that I even realized DEC had jumped and SPS had also jumped. I just got so used to not even looking. And so this kind of took me by surprise, and it's like, oh, that's a pleasant little thing happening there. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's going to have to be a lot of SPS burnt in order to for people to buy packs. Straight up.
I am going to ask you to let me share my screen, BJ. I hopefully you can say yes to that, and then I'm just going to open up my game, and let me try and share again. And I'm just going to do screen. Let's see, share. So you'll probably see this and
Well, now for those of you that can't see, AZ still got a Chaos Legion background on his computer. So when he says he remembers,
I do.
He remembers hype, and it feels fresh. Now I know why.
Yes, I do, and I will not change it until I feel hyped again. So hopefully, so you can see the chaos regions on the side. Do you see my game screen, PJ?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Conflicts.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Conflicts, and I'm just going to go to my ranked, and let's see. Let's go to the SPS. So I want you to see, and you are going to describe this to people what you see on screen.
I see numbers moving at a rate that make me envious. Staking
Yes,
rewards, validator license rewards, a lot of liquid rewards coming into the pool second by second.
right. Excellent, excellent. So for a while, this number, this is my staked SPS, this number was below 100K. It was flirting at 90, 80 to 90K, that kind of range. So over the last 3 days, this has climbed above 100K. Okay. So that's just last 3 days. So it went from 90K to 100K, 110K, right? So, and we are in terms of price, we are right here at 87, right? I suspect we are going to hit one like tomorrow or day after. When is the launch again? 22nd?
I believe so. Yeah. So
Yeah,
two
22nd is the
Tuesdays from now.
presale.
Yeah, 22nd. So remember, this is not only people would need DEC because that's what people are going to, and I'm talking about just existing player. We are not going to talk about new players for a little bit. I want to talk about it, but let's just talk about our existing player base. About 4,000, 3,600, whatever the number you want to say, and those people would need to get DC. Now you can buy DC from the market. There are plenty of them in the pool, and as you get it from, actually it is quite difficult to get even like 200,000 to a million DC from just the market. Okay, unless you hit the pools, right? There are plenty of liquidity in the pools, so people will try and hit the pools because except Vaktis, nobody has DC. Vaktis has it, so Vaktis has all the DC you would ever need to get like 5 max decks. I'm going to assume a max deck is 3,000 to 3,300. What do you say, BJ?
I don't know. So I mean that's a little bit of a rabbit hole, I think, that I do want to pursue and kind of pull apart with you because we're getting the introduction to some stuff that Splinterlands has never had before, and of course I'm referring to black foils and gold foil arcanes and of course black foil arcanes. So I was kind of pulling on this thread with a couple of buddies throughout the week as after this post was released and trying to figure out ultimately what does this mean for the economics. I think for the guys that are going after the packs, not much changes in terms of how what is the total investment required to achieve a max deck. However, I think where things start to change is if you're taking the approach, I've outlined it on a couple of episodes previously. Jimmy, when we had Stever on, he and I were kind of sharing our approach to Rebellion, in that you're going to peak monsters and picking up individual cards as you kind of progress through deck building. And I think that's where we're going to see the most significant impact. So I suspect that regular foils, for the most part, are probably going to be a little bit more inexpensive compared to Rebellion because there are going to be a handful of guys that are chasing those black foils, which is obviously going to contribute to greater liquidity on the card side. So I don't know. I mean, I would suspect somewhere south of $4,000 would probably get you pretty close to a max deck of regular foil Conclave Arcana cards, which I think is a significant win for regular foil players and guys that are just looking to participate in the game as we always have. That's kind of what my best effort estimate puts me at. Jimmy, have you had a chance to kind of think through what black foils and arcanes means for the regular foil market? And
Pretty much exactly what you were just saying. There are going to be people buy. I mean, we've seen it with gold foils. So now times that by 100. I think, people are going to be buying packs to open them, chasing those cards, and then in order to fund more packs, selling the regular foil stuff. Hey, I mean, these guys might even be selling the gold foils to try to get as many chances at the black foils and these arcane cards as possible. So yeah, I think that's going to drive, I wouldn't say drive prices down. I think it would make prices more realistic, is what I would say. Like I considered Untamed to be like the gold standard of pricing, right? It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't insanely expensive. Your best summoner, Jotun, was selling for, I was buying them for $12 to $16. When I maxed my Jotun, I was buying single beat. And that's awesome. That's realistic. It's not cheap, but it's not insane. I think we're going to see prices more into that range this time. I remember buying Krons for $2. Krons were $2 to $4, and that was the most expensive legendary non-summoner card. I think we're going to maybe see regular foils getting more into that price range. Rebellion stayed twice that while it was in print, and then many of the cards dropped to that level after it was out of print. And they came off the mage wagons. And I also think Matt was right with the balancing of cards. These rare common packs are going to be cool for people to be buying, and I think the extra rares and commons will be balanced out by the extra legendaries that people are going to be pulling. I mean, a guaranteed legendary from every pack, that's crazy. It's a $25 pack or $25 pack, or sorry, 24, $25. But when you average in, the legendary gold foils and stuff you'll be getting out of there, I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot of people dipping their toes in that pool.
Yeah, so it is the alchemy packs at 12 each and the legendary packs at 24 each.
24, yeah.
24 each, as part the post. So I was just thinking about, quite simply, right? Rebellion was 90 cards. Is that right? I think it was about 90.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
it's
is
less.
82 cards. Less, but not too much. So I think Rebellion required 3,000, an average. It varies a little bit, right? 3,300 packs for a max deck. Every card max, and you'll have some extra. So I'm going to assume this is 3,000, give or take, right? 3,000 cards. If you just get just the regular pack, like the $4 pack, which is the traditional way. And the reason I am saying this is what I'm going to have to do. So I normally buy packs because, I try to get the deck maxed on day one because of two of my scholars, right? So I have to give them a max deck on day one. And this is sort of my unspoken promise to them. So I have to deliver. And I will do that regardless of the situation. I'm not going to nickel and dime this, and I'm just going to have to buy 3 max decks, right? So, and the advantage of doing that is if I buy 3 max decks, that's about 9,000 packs, 10,000 packs or so. Rebellion, if I remember correctly, I bought 11,000 packs. I think I can go back. I think I remember it's 11,000 packs I bought. So I'm probably looking at buying about 10,000 packs. So 10,000 packs.
Standard boosters, the $4 standard boosters.
Yes, yes, basically the basic pack. Now, I might, since this time around there are the this alchemy and legendary packs are available. So what I might do, I might just get 2/3 of it. So might get 6,000 packs, 6,000 regular packs, and then I like to build a gold foil deck. So that gold foil deck, I might just get the gold foil packs. So I have to decide that at some other point in time. But so either I get, 9,000 packs, or I get 6,000 packs and a mix of alchemy and legendary packs. So that's my basic plan.
So something else that is new is if you scroll down in the post, AZ, I think it's towards the bottom. There's discussion of the new leaderboard prizes
Yes.
plus the raffle that's involved in the presale.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
how does that influence your purchasing decision in the slightest,
Right.
or
So,
are you? Yeah, go ahead.
so very, very simple, right? So one of the best thing that happened to me during rebellion is Grimbardun Smith, right? At that time, that card, for a length of time, it was absolute king, right? And I was loaded with Grimbardun Smith. So at that time, my scholars would easily do top 10. I mean, they frequently do top 10, so that's not much of a issue. But I enjoyed Grimbardun Smith. And basically, these are the two promo cards that would be equivalent to that. Now, Grimbardun Smith was a very meta card, but it was a defensive card. In this case, the two promo cards are both attacking card. So I don't know how the meta is going to be handled, but BJ, you already played on it, and I think you like it. And on paper, I like it. They're both attacking card, and they're both Death Splinter, and I like Death Splinter. So
Oh, the neutrals. They're still
neutral. Oh,
neutrals.
they're neutrals. They're
They're
neutrals.
neutrals.
They look black. So
They-
now I'm very confused about this black
The
thing.
black foil.
I mean,
black
they
foil.
definitely, and well, they also the artwork helps drive home the death narrative. They're definitely of the darker
Yes.
flavor for sure.
But they're neutral, huh? They're neutral. Yeah, it says neutral on the
Yep.
side.
Yep.
Mhm.
But again, I have to get used to this card design, because whenever I see black, I'm thinking death, right?
Now I wonder if the background is because it's a black foil or what? Because
It is
the
a black
Yeah, definitely.
foil, I think.
Look at the
okay,
frame.
gotcha.
The,
Well, I know
the
that,
frame
but I
is
mean, does the background if this card was not black foil, like I mean, obviously there's going to be non-black foil versions of the promo cards.
Right. Yes.
What's
yes.
the background look like? Are
I
those going
think
to be
it will
normal
be
neutral background?
steel color, like gray.
Yeah.
It should be gray,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Neutrals are gray usually, right?
Yeah.
That's the standard process. So, BJ, you were asking about leaderboard, and leaderboard is one thing, I never consciously try to be on. I could have easily made it to the leaderboard last time during Rebellion. I was,
I think you were number 7.
I was number 7, and I was like 50 card or 500 packs short or something like that. Wasn't trying to design a summoner. So I don't think I will try even this time. So that's my take. So I'll do a pass on that. So, and whatever reward comes, that's fine.
Okay, so I find that really interesting, AZ, because I think that 10,000 pack sweet spot, I think, tends to put you in that top 10. You're within the summoner design is within grasp as soon as you pass
Yes.
that 10,000 pack mark. So I wonder, does the max black foil rare not is that not incentive enough for you to reach a little bit further? And then I would ask that question again, given that if you design said summoner, you get a max regular foil, a max gold foil, and a black foil copy. I mean, is that not
Yes.
enough incentive to get you over the line? Just another 500 packs?
It's a great incentive. And, even without that incentive, there is enough incentive to just design a summoner. That's great. I purposely choose not to do it. That's what I have done so far. So that's my, you know, try to control my vice if in one way or the other. It's not about the money, but uh, I I try not to do it for a variety of different reasons.
Well, AZ, I mean, okay, so circling back to the start of our conversation, I called out your Chaos Legion background. You know, I want you to feel hyped. You know, I'm putting myself in. I'm putting my Splinterlands the company hat on here. You know, pretend you're talking to one of the guys on the team. What is it going to take to push you to want to pursue one of those 6 spots? Like how you right now you're feeling indifferent about it. If you get it, great.
Yes.
If you don't get it, great. Your scholars
Yes.
end up with max decks. You're sitting with a max gold foil. What is it going to take to push you over the line to get you to want to achieve one of those top 6 spots?
If I see anything fundamentally different that is done by the team, then I will. And I'm not going to worry about money.
Hmm.
I want to be surprised by the team. I have not been surprised.
Interesting. Is this from a development perspective? Is this from
This is from any perspective, and this is my challenge to Dave, right? Dave is leaving the job. If Dave can surprise me, I will. No questions asked. So far, Dave hasn't surprised me.
I love it, AZ. Throwing down the gauntlet. Dave, while you're on your walk, I hope you're taking notes, dude. How do I get AZ over the line? That's the new challenge right there. I freaking
I think
love it,
his pace just sped up a little bit while he's walking.
He's
Steps
probably
are
calling
getting
you right
quicker.
now at this point. He's pushing pause to pick up the phone and say, "What the hell, AZ?"
Right.
I suspect there's some surprises coming. Honestly, I
Yes.
totally suspect surprises coming from Dave.
Yes.
Taking his time. First of all, he stepped in right. I mean, this Conclave Arcana is definitely the priority. This is all
Yes.
hands on deck is what we're focused on now. And I mean, Nate mentioned it the other day on our last show that Dave and Blaze pushed to get these black foils and the arcane, the other foil going on the arcane thing. So that's kind of a surprise right there. That doesn't surprise you that he stepped right in and he just slammed it down and said, "We have to do this for this set. It's important."
So I will tell you what was my last surprise. My last surprise was HTH. That Hello is the Hollow, the auction card. And I bought 10 of them. And the reason I bought 10 of them, and I tried to, set a floor for the price without thinking about what is going to cost me. And I did not want a gold foil. I just wanted to hold the floor for the regular foil card. And I did as much as I could. And the reason it surprised me, first of all, it was the auction. So that has never happened before. That's number one. And that was unique, unique economics. And also the card was unique. It is not the strongest card. Now we have played it for a long time, right? So we know that it is not the strongest card, but it has that ability that no other card in the game had. And that is striking. It just looks cool. I like the art. The ability is impressive when you actually see it in action. That was a surprising card. I thought I would never be surprised by a card because I have seen a lot of cards. It is very hard my bar is set very high. It is very hard for me to be surprised by a card, but I was.
Okay. So AZ, we started the call without running the risk of breaking NDA. You're going to be surprised with some of the stuff in CA. The racial synergy adds a level of depth and interaction on the battlefield that we haven't seen before, and it is a lot of fun to take part in. there's I'll stop there before I get myself in
Yeah.
trouble. And at this point in the episode, Dave's going to be making 2 phone calls, one to you and one to me. What the
No,
hell,
you know,
guys?
It's been released. It's been released. It's in the
Yeah,
it's in the
the-
post. We
yeah,
can all
the racial
assume what
energy
that
is
is.
in the post. That's
Yeah,
that's
okay,
nothing
yeah.
new.
Put up to your
Yeah.
imagination. I mean, you could pull out.
Yeah.
A summoner can pull a racial card.
Yeah,
a racial card from any splinter. So boom,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's just a whole new avenue is opened up. All new
Yeah.
things are.
Yeah, so it's in the post, so there is nothing new about it. But from my point of view, the surprise should not come from the cards itself. If it comes, it comes. I will be surprised or I will not be surprised. I'm not going to fake it. I mean, if I'm surprised, I will tell you I'm surprised. So that's not an issue. Lately, Vaktis and we have been talking a lot about utility. We have had many cards. This is our 6th card set, and we can always make a card. This team knows how to make a card. So just making another card is not good enough for me anymore. So I need to be able to see some utility from the land side, and this is how we slide into land. I want to see some utility, some integration between land and the main game, the card game. Right now, there isn't any. And I need to see it pronto. And, Mansar already said that there is something he is working on, and that is going to come in before the actual launch of Conclave Arcana. So, and that has something to do related to the research, because he wants to use, the billion research points that Vaktis
That's got to be the potion, right?
Yeah, got to be the potion, right?
And that was discussed in the town hall openly, right? The potion.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to just keep everything straight as to what is.
No, I mean there is no
what's
hype
on the
here.
table and what's publicly announced and what's not. So yeah, we're seeing all of a sudden. I mean, I'm in this situation. One thing I've said many times over the years is I want there to be difficult choices. What do I do with these cards? Do I keep them on land? Do I pull them off to play, et cetera, et cetera? Mm-hmm. I'm now in a situation where I'm like, what do I do with my resources? Because I was doing some good SPS in the first wave of land, when you just SPS, grain, and research. I had some good research plots going. I had some good SPS plots going. And then we switched to introduce woodstone and all the other resources. And I was like, ooh, it costs more to harvest SPS on land than it does just to sell resources and buy SPS. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been harvesting, selling my resources, and buying SPS. Now, with this introduction of these black foil potions and potentially revival potions, I'm in the difficult situation of like, do I stockpile my resources in preparation for these potions, or do I keep buying SPS? Which one will be more financially advantageous? Because I mean, SPS, or if I selling these potions and buying SPS, basically.
Well, but before we jump down the rabbit hole of land, I want to zoom back to the element of surprise that you're looking for, AZ, and I want to kind of take a second to acknowledge and provide some context for timelines. So Dave, I might be wrong. Maybe this is week 6, week 5,
yes,
week 7, something like that, since he's been on the job. So by the time he came in, I would guess that Conclave Arcana was probably 80% of the way to the finish line. And the amount in such a short, limited time frame that Dave has been able to put his fingerprints on shifting what is expected of this upcoming set, that makes me very optimistic for the next set. I'm already thinking about what does Modern look like once Rebellion leaves, and what does the next set release look like, and what is Dave going to be able to accomplish with this new kind of era of status quo and you know continuing to press the envelope in terms of what's possible from our team. You know
Yes.
that doesn't even I'm not even talking about let's not assume that Conclave Arcana blows up and we get a bunch of new players. Of course, if all of that happens, there's an influx of cash. The company's able to expand development. Where you know then the sky's the limit. You know, but in between those things, I'm looking at what is after Conclave Arcana. What is the development that's
Yes.
coming this summer? What does new player experience look like? What are additional game modes that the team is, you know, talking about keeping up their sleeves? How do we leverage the really fun mechanic that's available through survival mode and make, you know, more fun and engaging experiences for these cards? You know, how do we continue to expand the utility of these cards? That's where
I
I
mean,
expect surprise. Uh,
Nate
I just
hinted
wanted
at
to get
that.
that in there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Nate hinted at that. Manser hinted at that a little bit. The different modes coming, campaign mode. That was one thing that was kind of cryptic when he was on the show talking about it. I wasn't exactly sure. He's like, a year ago it was like almost wrapped up, ready to go with a bow. And then he's talking about it, and I wasn't sure how close that was. But probably because it's changed. But we're already talking about. I believe he was also talking about different locations on land, being able to host tournaments, and just. I think Azircon's going to get his wish. We're going to see land integrated into the game relatively quickly. Is my
Yes.
assumption here because they've
Yes.
been
And
working on.
that's my thought. Okay, so before I get into that, I want to make my thinking visible regarding Dave. That Dave already in the 6 week made, I know for a fact, one significant impact on marketing. I'm not going to talk about it, but I know that he has already done it, and it is not visible to the people yet, but it will be visible at some point in time or not, but the impact has already been made. And so I want to congratulate him on that, and I appreciate what he does, what he's doing on a daily basis. So but my expectation is high, and I am not an easy person to please. And I know Dave for a long time. Dave is also not an easy person to please. So his method is very different compared to mine. He walks the middle line, and I don't. But it is not easy to please Dave either. So I am quite certain there are so many things that we see eye to eye, and that is one of the reason I really pushed that Dave gets this position where he is right now. So I am optimistic, and I am excited that Dave is there.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that.
agreed, 100%, 100%. And just seeing what Dave did, stepping in and having just almost no time before the set comes out and having such a major impact on this set. We know that his main goal, his main passion is bringing in new players. He knows that is how
Mhm.
this game survives and thrives.
Mhm.
So once this set is out of the way, I'm very excited to see the focus actually being able to be shifted in that direction.
Yeah. And that's why I think land comes in, because so far land has very limited impact on new players. I should say land has almost zero impact on new players, and it should not be. I think we want to have land in such a way, even if you have one plot of land, if you have one plot of land, that need to be incentivized. That you should be excited to have one plot of land, and you should be excited to have 10 plot of land. So if you have one, your goal should be obviously to get 10. If you have 10, your goal should be to have a 100, and that needs to be incentivized. And the only way it can be incentivized is if it is integrated to the game, Because one thing is price, one is the price of the resources, right? If the price of the resources are higher, you know, people will be incentivized. However, right now, these resources are still of very limited value. There is only one resource that land produces that has any tangible value, and that is SPS. Now, you can say, well, grain, you can have tangible value. All these other resources, wood, iron, stone has tangible value because you can sell it for DEC. But you saw the prices. And, by the way, I don't know if you guys have seen this particular website. This is Beaker's website, right? And you have this nice plot of the grain factor. And I am just, BJ, you can link this in the post, this website, right?
Yeah, cool. Shout out to Baker. He does
yes.
good work.
Yes, absolutely. And I think if I refresh it, I think this shows up better. So what he did, this is an extensive website now. It has so many different things. And the plot I really like is this grain factor plot. So, there is a relationship in terms of productivity between grain and other resources. So that's what I'm describing. So, PJ, you can do the screenshot in the post so that people can understand it as we talk. But let me just talk through it. Essentially, the way, if there is no market, just because of how rare individual plots are and how long it takes to generate one of the resources, one wood should be equivalent to 4 grain. One stone should be equivalent to 10 grain, and one iron should be equivalent to 40 grains. And this is just the rate of production, just based on the rate of production, right? However, this doesn't take care of any market, right? So this is just purely fundamental. This is just the supply side of the equation. Obviously, there is a demand side of the equation. So if this is the theoretical one grain line for all these 3 resources, this is the gray one is iron, the kind of yellow one. The gray one is stone, the yellow one is iron, and this orange one is wood. And they're all trading below their fundamental value. Why? Because there is a lot of supply. People are producing these resources, but there isn't enough demand. So when this supply-demand imbalance corrects itself, the base case scenario would be for them to trade along this line, right? So at this dashed line, at the grain dashed line or above. So currently, none of the resources are. And I want them to trade at least at that line or above. And the only way we can do that, if you can make these resources desirable. So right now, people are just producing it and they're selling it. If they're producing extra, they're just selling it. It's just another token. So my 8 years in Hive, what I have learned, if you give people a free token, they're going to sell it. That's what they do, because that's all they care for. They're going to sell it for fiat. They're going to sell it for cash. And then they're going to complain. Yeah.
Do you see the alchemy or this black foil potion giving enough utility to push these resources to that line?
That would be the first thing, right? So what does the alchemy potion or the black foil potion will do? It will double the chance of black foil, right? So if you think the black foil card is desirable, then it would, right? So right now, what's in the black foil card? It does the same thing as a gold foil max card. It is max. One thing is it is max, so that's good. So that is, you know, a gold foil legendary requires 4 BCX, 4 cards to max. So the price of a black foil, if all else being equal, if you forget about the looks or anything, it should be 4 times the price of a single BCX gold foil card, right? Now at max, a 4 BCX, like a max gold foil card and a max black foil card, has the same identical utility. Only thing is one is rare, more rare than the other. So that's the collector aspect of it. But there is no utility aspect of it. Now you can say, oh, I can stake it on land and I can get like a beta level factor. But would you actually buy a black foil card to stake on land? That's the question. So from my point of view, and since I'm asking that question in a skeptical way, from my point of view, that is not a factor enough. That is not a
Were they
factor enough.
talking? Were they talking about adding more utility to black foil cards in the town hall? Or was that a statement from somewhere else?
Not as far as I know.
No,
Okay.
not as
That's
far
just
as
people
I know.
theoreticizing about maybe
Yes.
we would like to see
Right.
more utility. Is that something that they could introduce?
Of
Or
course,
if so,
we've
it would have
continued to
be
add utility to Rooney. Why not? I
Yes.
mean, so the way that I think about it is, it's a brand new element that is being introduced into Splinterlands, and we all know Matt. We all know how Matt operates. I can imagine that there's a little bit of reluctance to throw the farm at these black foils. We want to see, what does this initial experiment look like. You can always add additional utility. It's really difficult to pull it back. If we throw too much at the black foils, and it's, we find out that actually we need to reel it back. That's a much tougher pill to swallow, that versus being able to, like Rooney, for example. It's always nice to get more additional value that's added to Rooney. And I would expect that the same is true with the black foils. But so they're not equal though, AZ, right? You get 20% reward bonus for ranked battles, so double.
Yes.
Survival
Yes.
mode,
And
you have half the cooldown.
as a
Yes.
gold foil.
I would like, I mean, to your point, I would like to see some more creative utility
yes,
versus
exactly.
this is all thinking within the box, right? This
Yeah,
is
this
this
is
is
all
the
thinking
standard
within the box.
expectation utility. I
Yeah,
would like to
this
see something
doesn't
above and beyond.
this doesn't impresses me, and I will tell you why this doesn't impress me. Because the 20% additional reward and the survival mode, less cooldown or no cooldown, all of this translates to what? Rewards, and rewards in SPS. So they all translates to SPS.
Mm.
And we know the price of SPS. You give us more SPS, we sell more SPS. That does not float my boat. Okay. So that is totally inside the box. We got to do better than that. And it doesn't have to be the black foil card. Black foil card is something great, it's a thought process. Let's look at it. I am more interested in how land is integrated to the game. And it doesn't have to be only the black foil card. I want to see other things. I want to see
Yes.
other utilities,
Well,
other integration with the
let,
game.
let me interject, AZ. So as part of our DAO proposed agreement to inherit Cryptomancer's salary, we had the agreement from the team to eventually move to supporting whatever 2 promo cards we decide to create. It was left ambiguous and open to interpretation for good reason. It was intentional that it was left ambiguous. And I think one of the opportunities that jumps to my mind is exactly what you're alluding to. Like I maybe that's we create, instead of uh your extra iron, stone, wood going to the market, I can smelt the iron or chop the wood, process the wood, and all of a sudden I'm creating this promo card on land. I
Yeah.
think that is an option, and I think the black foil or the black foil potion represents the initial precedent for moving in
Yes.
that direction.
What I propose actually is, remember, we have these items and spell that we are going to be creating from the resources of land. But there are many steps before we get to that. What I propose, we do not need those 1,000 steps. We got to shortcut it and get
Yes.
to item or spell quickly. This
Yeah.
is my challenge to Matt. This is my challenge to Dave. And this is my challenge to Mansur. Open challenge. We cannot, at the current flow chart of land, items and spell is, 3 years
We'll
away.
never see it. We'll never see it.
Three
We may
years
never
away.
see it, honestly.
Yeah, we cannot wait 3 years for items or spell. Then, we are going to slowly bleed land, right? And land will never go anywhere. We would make more resources and people will sell more resources. So we got to make a shortcut and get to items and spell faster than that flowchart suggests. So that's
That's
my
a
challenge.
popular sentiment. I've heard, I don't think I've heard, and then this isn't a slight, I understand the complexity and why Matt likes it, but I have not heard one single player say they are looking forward to doing all of that in order to produce items and spells.
Yes.
Every single person I've heard talk about it has said it's too complicated and it does need to be streamlined.
Yeah. And it's just too far away. It's too far away. It's too convoluted a process, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
It
exactly. It
doesn't have
doesn't
to be.
have to be. It's unnecessarily complex, convoluted. I
Yes.
mean, we're at a point now since we have naturally desalinated the community. Maybe we can get rid of the whole land desalinization thing there.
Yes.
Just an
Yes.
example, because
Yeah.
that's one extra step that seems to be
Yes.
yeah, an unnecessary, not unnecessary, but a bit much.
I want to go to item and spell this year. I want to go there this year.
Yeah, Jimmy, bring it, bam! Get on that horn, and start
Yes,
tooting it, man.
that
I
is
wanna,
that is,
yeah,
as soon as this CA is out of the way, that would be, I am making this request right now because CA is done. Conclave Arcana is done. It is going to do its thing. So in terms of land, I want to see items and spell this year. Whatever shortcut that is needed, let's get it done. Let's get it on the drawing board
we
and let's
can
get
do it.
items and spell.
We can do it easily, man. We're doing potions, all right, right? That's already being introduced. The mechanic is being coded into land as we speak. Honestly, looking at the buildings and looking at the actual potion itself, it's come visually, it's absolutely stunning. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
Potions
Yeah.
blow the original potions out of the water. If anyone's listening who has any say in this, like Nate or Dave or anything, I would love to see the alchemy and legendary potions upgraded visually to match the black foil potions. They look
Yes.
fantastic. Buildings are
Yes.
getting there. We could easily make uh, just like 4 simple items. Here's boots
Yes.
of speed that will, they will grant
Yeah.
one card, one plus one speed in a battle. Just a couple of basic items
Yes.
that we employ in the tactics mode.
And
It's not that hard.
at the same time, we need to see tangible utility of research, tangible utility that has value in it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are producing this. So I'll show you a simple thing. What you are looking at is my full region. This is region 10, and I own this region in full, and it is currently about 30% occupied. So you can see it visually. I can I can tell you exactly how much this is if I click on the production button.
Have you
So
cleared every plot thus far?
no, I have not. The ones that are active, they are the one that is cleared. So this is 320. My full region is 320 plots are working out of 1,000. However, until very recently, it was 270. So after these new resource mechanics has added, Mansur added the new resource mechanics, I have cleared and populated 50 additional plot in this region. This one was in the 60s. And this is I have a full tract in region number 9, Quagmore. And it was in the 60s, and I have it to 83. So 23 additional plots I have activated. So this is the result of the momentum. I have 19 million DC staked on land. This is the result of momentum. I had about 14 before. So I have added a DC on land. So my request to Dave and Mansur and Matt is please keep this momentum going, because if we lose this momentum, we are again going to revert back to, nobody cares about land, and land is not integrated with the game. It's a separate game and it's doing its own thing. And we don't want that.
Well, let me ask you guys. Let me flip it on the two of you guys. You guys have been here since the very beginning. You watched the land sale come and go. Been hearing that land is coming, land is coming. Well, it's finally here, and I completely agree with the sentiment you shared a few moments ago, Az. I want to see a real draw to new players to get involved in land, even if it's just on a one plot basis. We should use land. We've all heard the statistics around players that get involved in guilds have a much higher degree of stickiness. That is a retention point. I want to see that same sort of grasping and staying power from one plot of land. How do we drive the engagement that is offered through owning one plot of land to brand new players to the game? Have you guys started to think about what that could look like? I mean, I think the items and spells is probably a start, but I think
Yes.
there's other things that I think are probably more easily accomplished in the short term, that could drive that stickiness through a plot of land.
I mean, I
It's
was
all
thinking about
related.
oh no.
No,
Yeah.
no, go ahead, Jimmy. Go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, I was thinking about that literally in the past few days. I've been upgrading plots. I had all of my plots and my tracks activated, even if some of them had single BCX alpha commons on there, just to have them, slowly clearing and then finally slowly producing. And you need a ridiculous amount of PP to get anything even remotely of value on there. I'm thinking all these people who don't have access to alpha cards, beta cards, or too many gold foils, it's almost, it almost feels like it's not possible to get any value or fun out of having a single plot. Like everything's so interactive. If I have a single
So,
plot with the Chaos Legion cards, I'm almost not generating anything off that plot.
so are you guys still seeing my screen? Do you see a
Yeah,
big 100%? This is you, Jimmy. So
this is
this is
me.
your
Uh-oh.
this is you. So this is
Nice.
again Beaker's tool. So I
Shout
put in
out to
Fat
Beaker
Jimmy.
kicking ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fat Jimmy, and I'm going to include taxes now. That was
Okay.
without taxes. So we will add taxes, and you are still 100%. So you are fully
Mhm.
self-sufficient.
Yes,
So
I got
this
lucky
is, yeah,
with
yeah.
with
So
grain product. I have some plots that produce. I have 2.5 tracks. One of those tracks has a lot of grain producing. The other
yes,
plot doesn't even come close. The other track doesn't even come close to being able to possibly self-sustain
yeah.
with with
And
grain.
you are pretty well diversified. Your 27 is producing a lot of grain, 29 is producing a lot of grain. 119, you are grain negative.
Oh yeah,
26,
big
you are
time.
grain negative.
Yeah.
But interestingly, you are only grain negative, and grain negative these days is nothing because grain is so cheap. You can always
Mhm.
buy grain. You are positive on everything else, right? So wood, stone, iron, you are all positive. So which if you compare to my case, I am not. So you are doing great. And you are grain negative by like a tiny, tiny amount. So like a
Altogether,
12, yeah,
that's
that's
my
all
total.
total. That's your total.
12,000. Is that per hour?
Yeah, this is
12
per
per hour.
hour, and this is
Okay.
translates into DEC with current DEC price. So per
Gotcha.
hour, you are only 12 DEC grain negative or 1200 grain negative. Okay.
Ooh, I gotta tweak some plots there, it looks like there.
Or
I can't,
not, honestly, or no, or you can easily get there. I mean, that is not
yeah.
an issue.
Like currently I swap region to region. Like I'll convert some wood to grain to send to 119 in order to harvest.
You should not do that. That's more in taxes. You should not pay taxes, right? It's
How
just
should I
like
do that
taxes.
there?
Use
Well,
the
just
trade
buy
hub,
it.
dude.
Just
That's
use
what
the
I
trade
mean.
hub.
That's what I do. I use the trade hub. I swap.
Okay, all right.
I'll take
Swap.
some wood and swap it to grain in region 119.
Right.
That's how
So,
that's
but
how I do that. Yeah.
but that's a two-stage process. The best way to
Yes.
do it is just sell it for DEC. That is less slippage.
Well,
So if
that's a 20% tax. If I sell it for DEC and then buy
no, it's
grain.
2.5%. See, it's if you do that, like for example, let's see, let's go here, this, and let's go to like I don't know, either one of them. So
Yeah, yeah.
here, if you sell stone, let's say if I sell 1,000 stone,
Hmm.
and from region 9, actually only region 9 has any stone. So 1,000 stone, and I
Hmm.
send it to this, it's 2.5%. 2.5%, that is the fluctuation, and
Yes.
10% fee.
10% fee. Yes. And that's what I mean. The
10% fee.
fee is doubled if I swap stone for DEC and then buy grain with that DEC. That gives me a
Because it's two
20%.
transaction, you mean?
Yes, yes.
It's two
Yeah.
transaction. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get what you're saying. So yeah, regardless, but you
So wait,
really
yeah, go.
almost have no need,
Mm.
right?
Well,
You
I have to
have no
get that
need.
grain to 119 when I harvest. That's the tough part,
Yeah,
is
but
getting the
since
grain there.
yeah, it's very, very little, right? 1,200,
Well, but no,
1,200
because you can't
deficit.
transfer the grain between regions, that's
True.
12.5%. Getting the grain just to harvest that
Yeah,
is
so
the
then you have two of these
challenge.
region, 26 and 119. I'm
Yes.
ignoring that one. That is nothing.
And 26
20,
has some a stockpile from, the past year,
yes,
which is
yes,
quickly diminishing though. That's going away very
yes,
quickly. Yeah.
yes. So this is one quick way to look at it, by the way. It's a very, very easy and quick way to look at
Dude,
it.
that's fantastic. Shout out to Beaker, man. He's on our Team Possible chat every Sunday. He's in
Mhm.
there. And this is actually the first time I'm usually late to that meeting, because I'm always working. And usually I'll show up. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this website. I've heard him say some of these numbers. I didn't know it was on his site. This is fantastic. Super
Yeah,
shout out. And what's the site?
this is,
Splinter.lands.
yeah, so
I'll
I'll
put it in the
send you a
post.
link. Yeah, I'll
I just
send
Okay.
put
you,
it in the chat. I
yeah,
pulled it up
yeah.
on my side, and while you guys
Okay,
were
all right.
talking
Then
through
you already
yours,
got it. Yeah,
I
you
pulled up
already got
mine.
it.
Read it
I'm
Yes.
out
not
so people hear it. Read it out so
Yeah,
people hear it.
so
It's the
B
URL.
Jangles.
splinter-lands.streamlit. That's streamlit.app. splinter-lands.streamlit.app.
Damn.
Yeah, UX is clean, looks good, easy to navigate. Yeah, shout out to Beaker. Super shout out, like you say, Jimmy. Beaker quietly doing good work.
Oh, if you look at my, I don't know, other than my travel post, my last probably 20 or 25 or maybe even 30 post,
It's all
majority
lands.
of it, it's all, working with Beaker. It's he's working on Hive, he's working on Splinterland. I have an
Nice.
idea about a plot, and he makes that plot available publicly the next day.
Beautiful.
He's amazing. He's
Wow.
absolutely amazing.
Okay, well, AZ, so Cryptomancer's development, workflow and kind of what is upcoming in his development pipeline. At present, it's being determined by Matt. Um, are you thinking to propose something to interject and see if we can get the community behind kind of rerouting Cryptomancer to in the course of the next, handful of months, quarter two, quarter three, rerouting that development resource that is Cryptomancer towards an item or a spell or something along those lines to tick this box and satisfy the need for new players? Is that kind of how you're thinking about, like, what is next steps here as far as what you're thinking?
So I do not want to overdo it, and I do not want to jump the gun on this. I want to propose this to Dave, Matt, and Cryptomancer publicly in this way. We are proposing it right now, and they will hear it. They will hear it, and I want to hear what he thinks about it, and we will say exactly what we just said. We want to shortcut the flow chart of items and spell and get to it quickly as soon as the end of the year, and I want to hear what they think about it. So that is the start of the conversation. It is always a conversation that starts everything. The process, we can figure it out later on, but I want to hear what each of them think about it. That would should be the start. It's a honest conversation. So
Sure.
we'll see how that goes.
Well, for the longest time, and I think a lot of folks are probably thinking similarly in the context of items and spells. I have always been considering them with specific context to Splinterlands battles. I think we need to rewire our perspective there and think beyond just the context of battles. Because I think in order to really maximize items and spells, we need to figure out, we still haven't figured out tactics for tournaments and brawls, for example.
Mhm.
It's not an ideal experience to go in blind to realistically two-thirds of our gameplay. Obviously survival, wild, modern. I think those all kind of fit in one bucket where it's immediate interaction, right? Whereas brawls and tournaments, your hand is forced to make that choice regardless of being able to see your team or your opponent's team or not. So I think in order to really maximize the fun and engagement out of items and spells, we need to first figure that out. So that tells me we should probably be looking at, and Jimmy and I were talking, kind of, warming up for this episode a few hours ago prior to hopping on here with you, AZ. And we had the idea, what if we had a spell that was something like, I told him I just bought a max Kraken and a max Minotaur Warlord from beta. Super stoked to get these cards. I've never owned, some of these cards, and it,
Mhm.
it breaks my heart. I had to send them straight to land. Like
So you
they'll
want to tell
probably,
my idea?
well, they'll
Can
probably
I
never
spill the
see
beans?
they'll never see the light of day on battle, which sucks. And Jimmy was like, "Well, dude, what if there was a potion that allowed you to create a one-time disposable mirror copy of your Kraken that you own and that is staked on land, and you play it in a battle, or you play it for a season, or you play it for, if it was something like that, that would be a very cool potion that to be born out of land resources. So imagine
Eh,
you buy a
go ahead.
potion with a 2 week window. It's disposable every month, or excuse me, every season. I want to play my Kraken in survival mode. So I've got to cast this
Buy the
potion.
potion.
I've got to cast this potion to create the mirror hologram, leave it to Joey and Nate and the creative team to come up with,
Ooh,
the
the Last
logistics
Jedi
of,
force projection.
yeah,
Bam,
Yes.
force project
exactly.
yourself into battle there. You had a great idea. So that was one. Just say a potion that lasts a season. Another thing could be a potion that you get to use until that card gets killed in battle. That could be a
Yeah.
different potion, something like that. I had the idea of something a random jackpot chest prize where it's like an item that allows you to use a card in battle and on land. You could attach it to whatever card you want, and then it's a permanent thing. Picture it as like some super jackpot prize in a chest, and that allows you to pick a card on land and also simultaneously use it in battle.
So, I think the first part, all these are great idea, right? All these are great ideas. So the question is, we have one developer, right? We have no money. We have one developer. So we have to be cautious how much we ask of Mansa. So, so baby steps, right? Baby steps. But these are all great ideas, and these are beyond, oh, we get a black foil potion and we get a black foil card that gives us more SPS. I want to detach this from SPS inflation directly. It needs to be something unique. It needs to be something unique that people really want it. And the only way you can get it is from land. And there is no other way to get it. Once you do that, and you will need iron, stone, all these other resources, grain, to make this, and it needs to be costly. It needs to take time and cost. And that is what improve the price of these resources. And once the price improve, people with just one grain plot, now you produce, if
It's
you
meaningful.
just put, right now, if you just put like the 5 reward cards, 1000 CP, 5 reward cards, no boost, no totem on land, on a common plot, you get 121 grain per hour. I have done a lot of that. I know the number. And if you take out the 50 that you need to pay for it, to pay to harvest, that's about 74 left. So 74 grain per hour. And with the current price, that equates to, I think, about 17 DEC per day, which, is nothing,
Woohoo!
right?
But that's not the
Yeah.
point.
Now,
That's not the point.
the point is not that, right? The
Yep.
point is, you have to, if you have one plot of land, how can you make that plot desirable, right? You clearly, if you just have one grain plot, you won't be able to produce items, spell, research, all this from that one plot of land. That's impossible. However, whatever that you produce on that, let's say you just produce wood, or let's say you just produce grain on that plot, one plot of land that produces grain. So how do you get rewarded? How do you want your grain to be desirable? The only way to do it is by increasing the price of grain. And all of this will do that.
Okay. Well, I haven't run a TPG challenge in a little while. I've been occupied elsewhere, but this is the perfect. You teed it up for us, AZ. This is going to be the next challenge. I'll put together an article, and our greatest asset has always been our community. Super clever, very creative bunch of folks out there. I will throw down the gauntlet to see, let's shake the collective brain bush and see what falls out. And
Yeah.
I think specifically think outside the context of battles, which I think is
Yes.
a cool
Or
concept
card or
yeah.
just SPS. Like these are basic things. These are all inside the box thinking. It needs to be simple and it needs to be outside the box. And we have to be very careful that we have one developer. So
Yep.
we cannot just randomly throw things at him and expect that it will stick. So we got to organize our thought and then come up with a solution, something that is simple, something that is doable, and then we'll pitch it to him and see if he likes it or not, or
Well,
what he
AZ,
thinks
this is
about it.
this is a challenge on a few different levels. Number one, it's let's come up with something effective, desirable, and simple to execute upon. Number two, it's a challenge to the DAO, the community DAO, to agree on said
Yeah,
pursuit and development. And then of course
yeah.
there's the execution stuff. I mean, over the last I don't remember when we inherited Cryptomancer's salary and when he began working for the DAO as independent contractor. It must have been 6-7 months ago. But uh, I am not a part of the Land Barons channel. I've got 7 plots, but shout out to Aftersound. He does consistently whenever Cryptomancer pops in and drops updates. There's usually an Aftersound video to follow, so I stay abreast to most of that stuff through Aftersound. And obviously the first couple of months were during the holiday season, so things were a little bit slow and kind of bubbling to the surface. But since then, man, he's been knocking it out of the park. And
Yeah, he's
1.75,
very consistent.
yes,
No complaint at all,
mm,
and very, very satisfied.
yeah,
100% satisfied
yeah,
with what he does. So, Land Baron, what do you need to get into Land Baron?
50 plots.
50, right? Yeah, 50 plots.
50 plot. And how many do you have?
I'm 43 shy. I
43 shy.
I have 7 plots. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, don't give me
I
ideas,
have been.
Azircon. Don't send me plots of land, Azircon. I'm telling you. Before you even enters your mind, I'm gonna pluck that idea out of the sky, dude. Don't do it.
Why? Because I have been thinking that I'm going to give away free land to people
Well,
because my region would probably never be occupied full. I'm 30%, 33% occupied, and I do not see that I have the ability to. And it's been what? It's been 2 years.
Oh, it's
I
impossible
don't.
to fill a whole region.
it's
You
been
get
it's
that land being worked, you generate tax revenue from that,
Yeah,
man. That's
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
passive
So,
income.
right. So what I would do, you do not have to pay for it. I would give it to you for free, but you got to promise me that you are going to work it. You are not
there's
going
the
to,
payment right there, AZ.
that's the payment. That's the payment. That's my payment. So you are going to work it. You are going to work it, and yeah, and then I think that would be good. So I do not know how I will do it, but this is something I'm thinking, and you know you could be the first one, BJ, and you get the 43 plot, you become land baron tomorrow.
Well, I didn't do a very good job of plucking that idea out of the air. As soon as you asked AZ, I knew what was going into your head.
Yeah, honestly, and it's basically I do not even know how I do it, right? I just sell it to you for free, or I just transfer it to you. I do not know. I've never done it. I mean,
Well,
I have to put it. I do
I
not know. I mean, how I do it.
it's all on the
Cheap labor.
blockchain. You just transfer over the NFT. I can't stop you from sending them if that's what you're getting
Yes.
at.
Yeah.
I could just log in a little later and see, hey, you received 43 plots from Azircon.
Yeah.
Happy
So
birthday.
yeah, and but then you got to at least put some reward cards in it, right? So got to put some reward card in it at least. So
Get
that's
that
like
rolling.
what?
It's a cool challenge. I think, longer term, I would love to get more heavily involved in lands. I'm here for the long haul. I want to be as engaged across the whole ecosystem as I can. Being in a region and participating, collectively with buddies is an added benefit, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. I can't guarantee, especially with Conclave Arcana coming out here in a couple of weeks, that's going to be my priority. Um, Whatever that limited capacity looks like, I don't think I'll be participating in the pre-sale to any significant degree, but I will be trying to pluck particular cards off of the market as soon as the
There
general
was a
sale goes
raffle,
live.
right?
There
Wasn't
is a
there
raffle.
so even buying one pack in the pre-sale gets you a raffle ticket for
I'll
some
buy
of
a
those
couple
black.
packs. I'll buy
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah, I think I
packs.
was going to at least do that. Yeah, the timing is terrible with all this. I'm going to be out of town for a little while, and it's all the everything goes live when I will be out of town.
Well,
So
so they're doing things a
pre-sale,
little bit differently though, Jimmy. There's no benefit whether you participate pre-sale day 1 or day 30.
Yeah,
There's no difference
right,
in
right.
participation. So
Yeah,
so
that's cool. That's cool. I'm talking just the sale itself. Like even after the pre-sale, the sale going live, I think I'm going to be gone during all that. But
oh,
I
so
was
they
just going back to land real quick when we were talking about we have one developer not doing anything too crazy. He's laying the groundwork right now for with the potion thing right now, that is the foundational work needed to be able to just craft some very simple items.
it's the precedent
And
big time.
it's
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's the foundation. It's like once, like he said, once he made the trade hub, it's very easy to add new things to the trade hub, So where he's doing a lot of the prep work right now that would, take a lot of the heavy lifting, just knock it out. It's done. For the, small scale production, a new item or two, a new building or two. It's I think we're closer than they might think. Plus, how much is Cryptomancer and how much goes on someone else? Cryptomancer deals with land. Someone crafting an item, would that necessarily be land, or could that be a different developer? Once these items are produced on land and in someone's inventory, does it have to be Mancer that would be able to mash them together to create an item? Or could that be somebody else? I don't know. It's a
I
question.
can't speak to that. I have no idea. I mean, I think a lot of that hinges upon how much is the DAO willing to inherit further development costs, or does Conclave Arcana set us up for providing, air support for guys like Cryptomancer and guys like Gator? It's a big sale coming up. I think it's really going to determine what does the next 6 months look like. Fortunately for Cryptomancer, obviously as every pack sells from Conclave Arcana, the DAO benefits significantly, adding to our ability to pay Cryptomancer for longer. So, I mean, it's all kind of rolled into one. I don't know what that, there was a big push for getting everything onto the React framework from a development perspective. That's all done. Tech modernization is in the rearview mirror at this point. I mean, that would be a great town hall conversation, and maybe this is something we got. Spoiler alert: we got Yaba coming on next week to for all the hype that is missing from this episode. It will be made up in spades next week with Matt, I'm sure. And this might be something worth bringing up and kind of tugging on, see where it lands us.
So before we get away from land, there is another basic fact I want to show you guys. And I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see if you can see this. Share this way. So the application screen. Do you see
Yes.
this?
Yeah.
Okay, same website, same Beaker's website, but we are going to go to region matrix. And what you are seeing there is this is Pretoria as a whole. So right now, how much PP on each of these resources? So obviously, grain has the max amount of PP of cards, 150 million, 161 million. then followed by iron, 95, wood is 92, and wood was actually higher. Now it is less, and stone, and then SPS, interestingly, still have 50 pp. Look, people are actually stopping research, is only 44, and then tax and keep. And this one, since the land is launched, it actually keeps a price history. So one thing of note I want to show you, as soon as land launch, because research and SPS requires these items, people have stopped a lot of research and SPS. So they both dropped. We do not have previous data because we were not keeping history. But notice yellow is the SPS and blue is the research. Blue with time is dropping, and yellow dropped, but now it's climbing. So in other words, people continue to stop research. They are stopping research. They have stopped research and kept research stopped and stopping even more research gradually. They have stopped SPS production, but now they are gradually, slowly picking up SPS production. And you know why? Because, now since a lot of people have stopped SPS altogether, the reward in SPS on land, as the total pool is distributed between whoever produces, is now getting higher. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's got to be hitting that point where it's actually better, more cost efficient to actually harvest SPS on land than it is to sell all your resources and buy SPS from the market.
Especially if you have a lot of boost on your SPS plot.
Oh, you would. I would think you would have to have that for it to be.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to try that. I've got a couple epic occupied plots that are. It might be worth trying one for a day, throwing some time crystals at it and seeing what it does in 24 hours.
Yeah. That's very interesting. The other thing is, a lot of people are trying that, including myself. If you have a lot of plots that are not cleared, of course you can clear by time crystal, as you just said, but time crystal costs money, and that money is down the drain. You never get that money back, right? It is one time spent and it's gone. A lot of people are doing, we can also clear land by renting, CL gold foil legendary cards. It takes only one day. If you rent 5 gold foil legendary cards, they're pretty cheap. You can get them for now. The rentals are seasonal, so they cannot be called off, right? So they are with you for 15 days. You can get them for like 50 DEC, 50 DEC per BCX. Even if you get the level 1, or level 2, the gold foils are level 2 at least. So, if you get 5 of them, that's like 250 DEC times 14 days, 15 days. You can clear potentially. So you clear one and then wait 3 days. You clear another, wait 3 days. You clear another, wait 3 days. I think you can clear 3 plot of land with them, and they are much cheaper than time crystal, and they will produce. If you want to keep them in one, they will produce resources. So you might consider that as well. If you have
the 50,000 DEC to stake along with them also.
Yes. Yeah, but you don't have to stake it if you just want to clear it, right?
Oh, you don't have to stake to clear.
No, you don't have to stake to clear.
Staking is producing. Yeah.
Staking only you need it if you want to produce. If your goal is just to clear land, and then you can slowly, gradually put cards on land, right? A lot of people, like I haven't done it, but a lot of people have done it. They have cleared all their land. I was sleeping on land, essentially. I was sleeping on land for 2 years. Yeah, I was just
Oh
not
man.
excited.
So if you had put a single alpha common on every plot, your land would pretty much be clear all right now.
Yes,
It took a
that's
while.
right.
I looked at when I first started, I looked at, alpha commons they're still cheap. I think you could still get them
Yes,
for a couple of cents, for the alpha
yes,
commons. But they
yes.
have decent PP, you throw that on a plot and it takes like a year, but it'll get that plot cleared
Yeah,
in
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
let's see what comes out of this conversation. I think it's there's a certain subsect of the community. Gold Matters is a big one that comes to mind. Shout out to him. I'm sure he's gonna love that we spent a good chunk of this conversation talking about land and pursuing this. I'm sure he's got some ideas that'll come streaming in. And Splinterlands land guy, Level Up Life. He's
Mm-hmm.
been. I keep waiting, and something I keep waiting for is, and maybe it's going to be the black foil potions that triggers this. I keep waiting for some guys to do some video streams on land management. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a piece that will, appeal to, there's a lot of guys that are just constantly looking for Splinterlands video content to sink their teeth
Yeah.
into and chat during live streams. And
You
maybe it's a
know,
little bit more passive, but I would love to see somebody step up and do
That's
some
not a
YouTube
bad
land
idea.
streams.
that's a
I've
great
been wanting to,
idea.
yeah, it's not a bad
That's a great
idea.
idea, and I can take up the challenge.
With your TikTok
Shout out
setup,
to
let's
no,
go.
no,
TikTok.
no, no. It's very easy. I have done this with Aftersound, right? So
Yeah.
I can just do it with Aftersound, and I always have empty land plots. I have land plots in a variety of different levels, variety of different situation. Some cleared, some not. I have cards, I have spillover cards, basic cards, good cards, bad cards. I can just put some of them live. So after sound, if you're hearing this, we can set something up and I can do this live. I
Well,
think
AZ,
it would be valuable.
let's get your own channel, dude.
No, you guys have the channels. No, you guys need to create content. I just need to provide the
Consume
support.
content.
And consume content.
Well, I do think there's something of value there, especially if collectively we're moving to a place where we're trying to identify what is the sweet spot to entice brand new players to own and operate one plot of land with bare necessity
Mhm.
cards. You have the wherewithal to present a compelling argument, and then on the
Yeah.
other side,
Ooh.
eventually we'll have an item, a spell, something that can be produced to provide the incentive for following through with that. So
Yeah, I'd like to
cool
see some
concepts.
possibly some of those jackpot chances too. Every time you press harvest, we had the totems. There now you can only get the totems on research plots, I believe, and keeps and castles.
Yes.
But this is one of the things like Level Up Life had talked about, a fund where we're slowly accumulating Bitcoin, and then every time you press harvest, you might have a chance of winning a fraction of a Bitcoin on your plot. We could also do that with things you create in game, little game items where every time you hit harvest, no matter what your plot, even if you have one plot that's producing and you're a new player, you have a chance of getting something cool that you were not expecting.
Just
Well,
one cautionary note: we cannot increase inflation.
yeah,
No,
I
no,
was
no,
gonna,
I didn't say SPS. I did not say SPS.
So we got to get it from somewhere else. We got to
Or
get somewhere
DEC.
else.
Right,
Some
Bitcoin or a cool item. Even if
Well,
we are
Bitcoin needs to
generating
come from somewhere, right? We do not grow
yeah.
Bitcoin, right?
Oh
So
no, no,
we got
no.
to
Yeah,
pay for
yeah.
it. We got to
Oh,
pay for it
absolutely.
somehow.
There are
well,
many
I
So
think
theories on how to do that too.
the idea for a great way, and I shout out to DJ. He had talked about it a long time ago. The idea of using Chaos Legion packs, you burn chaos. I forget the discussion, but it was something along the lines of using bulk amounts of Chaos Legion to generate land cards or something like that, where it's like a 20 mana, 30 HP. It's a completely unreasonable card to ever make it into the lineup. Uh, but the idea of creating and pursuing more crossover rewards that maybe in ranked you can tick a box that says, okay, I'm willing to accept land rewards, or in land you can tick a box that says I'm willing to roll the dice for in-game rewards, meaning ranked or battle. I guess battle rewards would be a better way to phrase that. But right now they live completely independent of one another.
Yes.
We're starting to see that crossover enter into the mix a little bit with the black foil potions. But yeah, I think to your point, we do need to kind of pursue the idea of crossover stuff. How do we incentivize one with the other?
And quickly. We cannot
quickly.
wait 2 years for this. And we got to do it this year. We got to do it this year. We cannot wait, 2 years or 3 years for it. We do not need a great product, but we need something. We need something that is functional, that is rare, that is desirable, that will drive people to farmland. Currently, 30% of land is occupied. 30%. 30% of the land is in production. And I am perfectly at average. I am actually slightly below average if you take everything. But I'm right around average. I think 33% is the average. I'm 31%, something like that. We got to get it to at least 50. We got to get it to we got to make a target for this, because we are not going to have land surfing, right? So, but I cannot have this many idle plots sitting. I will give land away. I will give plot away if there is incentive for it. If there is incentive for it, I do not want to sell it, but I will give it away. I will give it away so that people actually use it.
Cool. All right.
But right now we cannot do it. There is no mechanism for it. Right now there is no mechanism for it, right? Like, I trust you, I can give it to you, right? I know you are not going to turn around and sell it. But there should be some kind of a mechanism for it. There should be a lease mechanism or some other kind of mechanism, which was the idea of land surfing, right? But it's difficult to implement. So I do not want to add or pile on Mansur in terms of work. So this is something we got to do it ourselves. There is no tool for it. Fine. We will make it up.
I wonder if that's an opportunity for let's kind of turn the conversation back towards where we started, Conclave Arcana stuff and black foil utility. I wonder if that's an easy, no-brainer additional utility that could be tacked onto black foils. Is that would set the first card that would be available to stake on land and in conflicts and available for battle.
Potential that would make it very desirable.
Yeah. And then that would also show that there is desire for cards to exist in both planes and justify the pursuit of development for these, the potion that Jimmy and I described earlier.
And there is an attractive element to that, because you cannot inflate that card. That card is by design very rare. So there is no card inflation that is happening. The only thing that is happening, you are making that card more and more desirable. So the more value, more utility you put on that card, more desirable it is. Its price is going to be higher, very high, and people will definitely want that card. So people will do anything to get that card. And that's what you want.
Oh, I like it. There you go, Dave. More notes, Dave.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours already, man.
Let's wrap it up.
Slips through our fingers. Let's
wrap it up, the button.
AZ, I know you don't. I think you've got a few phrases that are kind of associated with your name. We're done here is one of my personal favorites. It's been soundbited and memed and it's shared. I think people people probably know the phrase without knowing where it comes from.
Yep.
Another one is I don't make predictions. I'm going to ask you to look into the crystal ball. What are you expecting from Conclave Arcana, dude?
I don't make predictions. So
That's just a disclaimer, AZ. You still make predictions. It's just a disclaimer.
This is not
I
financial advice.
no, I can always tell you what I am going to do, and I kind of know what a few other peoples are going to do, right? So there are few people who will always buy packs. They have traditionally bought packs, and the fact is the tofu, crypto eater, these people, they will buy some will buy it to open it, some will buy it to trade it. Crypto eater trades packs, so he will buy it. I will buy it for my scholars. Other people will buy it for their scholars. So just thinking about the existing players, I think we will pre-sale. Pre-sale will be successful. So that's not a prediction. That's just, the existing player base that we had. And we have the wagons. So, right, I think we're going to use the wagons again.
Oh yeah,
I think there would be
and
a cost
Rebellion
to it.
qualifies. Yeah.
Yes. So, and that was a good mechanics that is already proven that helped with the price of the cards. It did not start dropping precipitously almost immediately, right? It at least throughout the wagons, just because people need to stake the wagons, the prices were stable. So that will happen. So that will help with the price. And yeah, so I think and also the bonding mechanism, like when the regular sale kick in, we still have the bonding mechanism, right?
Yep.
At the regular sale. So I think there is no reason to suspect that we would be at least as successful as Rebellion, right? That's just, we have done it once, we would do it again. So that's the lower limit. So that's the floor. And then high could be anything.
I could be anything. Shout out to Bulldog. Speaking of anything, I don't know if either of you guys have seen his recent video.
I have seen it. It's pie in the sky.
It's pie in the sky.
It-
Some
it's
of the
it's
numbers that ChatGPT and Grok kicked back were pretty eye-opening.
yeah.
They were
It's
well beyond the lower limit that you just shared. I think
yes.
realistically, if we hit 3 to 5 cents, I think the community will be beside itself. That's a significant win
Yeah.
in a short period of time.
I am always conservative. I don't see future, and I don't want to see future. If it is as successful as Rebellion, I am okay with it, because let's not go with the new player experience thing, or how when the new players are going to come or not going to come. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it. Right? So let's not speculate on that. I'm not speculating on that. I'm just talking about existing player. Existing player carried Rebellion. We can carry another set. Um,
Well, I think,
that's
something that, and Jimmy, you've got, the same sort of perspective that I do, and that you've seen firsthand what is coming with Conclave Arcana. The community has been made privy to, the concept of the racial. No, I think it was retermed bloodline
Bloodline.
dominion
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Which has very interesting implications for particularly Wild. So I think where Conclave Arcana hits the mark in a place that Rebellion didn't is that all of a sudden all these Wild players have a much more compelling reason to participate in Conclave Arcana. So I think, in conjunction with all the other great stuff that has been happening in specifically in the last, since 2025, hit the calendar, I think we're going to see more participation than what we've kind of identified as our new quote unquote current player base. I think we've got a lot of dormant players that are going to be given a very good reason to, come out from the woodwork and see, hey, this looks fun. This looks new. It's interesting. It's engaging. So yeah, I don't know. I am also cautiously optimistic. I think obviously I don't have a crystal ball either, but I suspect the regular packs are going to do really well. We're starting the presale with the same number of packs on the shelves as we saw in Rebellion, 500,000. The Alchemist stuff and the legendary packs, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. I would imagine guys like Vugtis are judiciously running numbers and creating spreadsheets and seeing where is the most valuable mix of these packs, of course. And there's starter packs to consider too. We didn't even talk about that. Um, but yeah, so I think that there's a lot of things that are happening in the right direction, and the side effects, the kind of currently unforeseen impact that I think Conclave Arcana presents, especially to the traditionally wild players. I think it's exciting times. We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to
Yeah,
shake
we'll
up
see.
wild for sure. And we can't underestimate the collector aspect that is being introduced. I mean, we have seen the fanaticism that some people get for collections, collecting things and other projects. Going back to Wax a couple of years ago, there were some projects that literally they said, "Hey, we're working on this game. Here's packs." And they sold a ton of packs because people were chasing like certain cards, very rare cards, low mint numbers. I think us finally introducing that into the Splinterlands world is going to have an impact that is kind of unexpected. I think a lot of people are going to be taken by surprise by the drive people have, the collectors have.
Hey, if it sells more than Rebellion, I would be very happy, obviously, because SPS is going to go up, DC is going to go up. So there
Mhm.
goes the flywheel. So we'll all be happy.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think it has to sell more than Rebellion. I'm not going to jinx it, of course, but I think it
yeah,
almost, with the introduction of the other pack types, the more expensive pack types, I think and the player base hasn't really reduced much since Rebellion. It might even have come up a little bit in the past year. So I don't think it's possible to sell less, in at least dollar amounts than Rebellion. I think we're well looking at an increase in sales.
hey, that's the definition of a floor. So let's
Yeah,
establish the
right.
floor. That is the
Yep.
definition of a floor.
Yeah, I
So it
think
should not
Rebellion is
sell less than
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
if we can establish that as a floor, then we should be
And if they
good.
and if they put a couple really cool explosions in the pack opening, man, they're gonna sell even more. I know I'll
Yeah,
buy something to see that explosion.
yeah.
Well, I think looking at the bigger picture, it's a really interesting time that we have reached these crossroads, right? Like it just so happens that Dave got hired right on the cusp of Conclave Arcana entering, but more importantly, Chaos Legion leaving Modern. There's been a lot of guys that have been, similar to you, AZ. They've been, and even more so, bitter about Chaos Legion getting overprinted to oblivion and prices falling through the floor, and writing Chaos Legion until the wheels fall off. But that also means that these players are still here. And if we can start to successfully deliver two consecutive sets that not only continue to hold their value but grow in value over the course of their lifespan, I'm gonna quote Dave, and the most important thing is turning that hope into confidence. If you're still here and you're still engaging in Discord, no matter how bitter you are about Chaos Legion, you came here for a reason. So I have to suspect there's, whether you're willing to admit it or not, there's a shred of hope that Splinterlands can right the ship. And I think we have the unique opportunity right now, given that Chaos Legion is exiting, we got this new set. There's a lot of other things going on. We got a very different, kind of orders in terms of from leadership. The narrative has been, we've got a massive bullseye on new players, and
Yeah.
we are not making decisions for the business moving forward unless new players is at the the driving force behind said decision. So yeah, I'm more bullish than I have been in a very long time. I think it's going to be a very exciting next couple of weeks, which is going to snowball into a very exciting next few months if we can see Conclave Arcana do well, new players start to come in, new player experience start to get expanded, a brawl overhaul, an item coming from land. We could be looking at a very different, Splinter cards. Kudos for that zoomed out bird's eye view of the economy. We could be seeing a very different view on Splinter cards, and I'm here for it.
So let's finish on a high note and on an alpha, which I did not disclose, and this is my personal stuff, so I can always say it. I have no DEC, and I just told you I want to buy 10,000 packs, give or take. I do not know the mix. We'll figure out the mix. So if I just think about regular packs, so that's $4 each. So that's, if it is 10,000 packs, that's $40,000, right?
Yes, it is.
That's how the math.
Yeah.
And then there is some discounts and stuff, right? So it's not exactly going to be 40,000, right? I think there is, in pre-sale there is one discount, or is there no discount?
No discounts.
No discounts.
Just
this time.
no discount at all.
discount.
So it is $40,000.
Yeah.
So I do not have $40,000 worth of DC. Where am I going to get the money? So
Burn,
I'm
baby,
gonna
burn.
no, I'm not going to burn a single SPS. That is
And
the
these
other
credits.
thing. I am going to put fiat. I'm going to put big old US dollars and put in 40,000 US dollars and buy 10,000 packs. That's what I'm going to do. And that's my alpha.
Easy.
Bam.
That sounds like hype to me. You old fibber.
That's
Awesome, man.
that.
Well, it's an interesting time in the crypto market. I wish things were a little bit different, and I had the kind of dry powder, as they say, sitting on the sidelines to make a big move like that. Unfortunately, I'm not in that position, but I am rooting for as many people to be in the same position as you are, AZ, to thoughtfully consider the options, look at the history, look at the future, and make very similar choices to what you're doing.
Yep. That's my plan. I'm going to Cancun tomorrow.
Nice.
That is true. I am really going to Cancun tomorrow. I'm taking the next 2 week off. I'm going to be in Cancun.
Playing
Beautiful.
Splinterlands on the beach. Gonna do some battles on
I
the
will.
beach.
I have nothing to do. This is pure vacation. I'm just going to go and just stay in Cancun for a week. I'm come back the following Sunday. That's my plan. I'll be online the entire time.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. So one more question for you there. Before we hit record, I made, staying in keeping things consistent here. I made a comment that, hey, you shaved your mustache, and you laughed and said it's been a long time since you had one. So you did have a mustache?
I did have a mustache. I think
Uh-huh.
so. I shaved my head during a field season. So I'm a geologist. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
So my wife and I, I was 25. So I'm 50 years old now. So this is a quarter of a century ago. So I was doing a field season in Western India, and I begin to lose hair pretty early on. So, my hair was thin already by then at 25. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be in the desert, and we're staying at a village, and we're renting a little house, and there is no facility. It's like really a village. And this is in Western India in the middle of desert. You guys have no idea like how limited the facilities were at that time. There were no running water. Right? There were no running water. So I'm not going to be able to take shower every day. So I thought, okay, let's just shave it. Right? So at that time, I had a mustache. At that time.
What kind of mustache are we talking?
I just have like a regular, just like a regular one. Like I would shave, but just a regular, nothing special or anything. And
Just the top lip, or was it coming down the sides like a badass?
no. There's no. Just the top lip, regular. So I shaved everything, like mustache, yeah, hair, everything. And since then, I continue to do it. So I don't think I even have a picture. Those were not digital camera days. So I don't think I even have a picture with a mustache. So, or maybe my mom does. So I have to go check. So
We'll have
I
to
do
find
not
one,
have
man.
it.
I was messing around with the video filters on here before. As you noticed, I put up the Splinterlands background. I also noticed you can give yourself a mustache on Zoom if you hit that little arrow next to the video camera on the bottom.
All right.
So next time we do this, I want to see a little Azircon in a mustache.
Okay, we'll do that. Hey,
I've got the word done here,
Yes.
mean. Next time
Yeah.
that thing circulates, you're gonna have a full Fu Manchu, AZ.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
We should get the quote. We should get the quote before he goes too. We gotta.
Hey, we're done here.
Bingo.
Yes,
there it
We are
is.
done here.
Awesome. Well, AZ, as always, absolute pleasure to host you, man. As much hype as you try to refrain from, I find a lot of vindication for my own optimism in hearing you talk about what's coming and just kind of what is your perspective on the current lay of the land. I think we're very much on the same page in a lot of respects with this stuff. And just have a wonderful trip to Cancun, dude. We'll catch you when you get back. Look forward to your TikTok live streams on managing Splinterlands land.
No, that it will be on Aftersound. I mean, we'll do it on Aftersound. We'll just set up a time. Hopefully he's listening. If not, just tell him, or I can tell him, or
Cool.
we can both tell him.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's a listener still. I
Yeah.
don't know. All right, everybody. We'll be back next week with Yaba. I think there are some more details to come from Conclave Arcana, and hopefully we can get Yaba to spill some beans, as we usually try to do when we get Yaba on air. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and you have been listening to
The People's Guild.
Yeah.
Welcome to the People's Guild.
Splinterlands. Pretoria.
For guests all across the mythical land of Pretoria, tune in.
Come in.
Welcome to the People's Guild. Another week, another guest.
Pretoria. Pretoria. Tune in. Come in.
Welcome to the People's Guild. Another week, another guest.